For years now, there's been concerted efforts by left-wing activists to try to cancel J.K. Rowling over her personal views on transgender issues, and so far, none of it has really stuck. And it's kind of funny seeing these attacks being lobbed at her by these people because she probably agrees with them on 90% of political issues, but since she deviates from them on just this one little issue, well, then suddenly she's a heretic who needs to be burned at the stake because you can't allow for any independent thought within their cult. Everyone has to agree 100% on everything. Otherwise, they're a bad person, or at least that's what they believe. But unfortunately for them, she's responsible for a really popular franchise that makes a lot of money. And as a result, she's pretty much untouchable from all their cancellations, despite them trying to get that to happen. Everything has seemed to fail for them. And it looks like it's continuing to fail because right now, even HBO has said in regards to the upcoming series for Harry Potter that she is heavily involved with the project and that they want her to be involved with the project. HBO says Harry Potter series will benefit from J.K. Rowling's involvement. She has the right to express her personal views. Now, this is coming to you from Variety. So it's talking about how back in June 2020, that's when she first made waves by expressing her views on this issue. And when that happened, a lot of people who basically owe her their careers to J.K. Rowling had come out to basically denounce her. It's not so much as them saying, oh, well, we just disagree with her on this one, but she's allowed to have her opinion. It's like, no, they're trying to basically backstab her by saying that, no, she's a bad person for having these views. And at the time that she made her statements, this is what HBO said about that. A diverse and inclusive culture has never been more important to our company and to our audiences around the world. So kind of not really the most scathing rebuke of J.K. Rowling, but still they're trying to create some distance between them and J.K. Rowling. But then you fast forward a few years and they've kind of changed their tune on this whole matter. 4 years later, the landscape looks quite different. Under new leadership, Warner Brothers Discovery has aggressively expanded the reach of the Rowling's Wizarding World, centered on HBO's impending revival of Rowling's book series as a long-form TV show, led by showrunner. Okay, talking about the people involved with this. Scrolling further down, HBO chief Casey Bloyd told reporters at a press event on November 12th that Rowling was very, very involved in the process, selecting the writing and the director, and her anti-trans statements haven't affected the casting or hiring writers or production staff for the show. And a spokesperson for the network said in a statement to Variety that its parent company has been working with J.K. Rowling and in the Harry Potter business for over 20 years, and her contribution has been invaluable. In other words, she makes them a lot of money, so they're not going to tell her what she can and cannot say, or they're not going to kick her to the curb because of that. It's like, as long as she can perform for them, then they're going to keep her around, which I think that's kind of a sensible position for many companies out there. As long as people are making you money as a company, well, then they can have their own opinions. And a lot of people are trying to say like, well, no, her opinions are going to be detrimental to them as a company because it's turning off a lot of the audience. But the audience who were turned off of Harry Potter as a result of J.K. Rowling's involvement is really not a significant portion of said audience. We have this article from That Park Place talking about this exact same issue. This has displeased many in Hollywood, with calls for boycotts of Rowling's work ringing out every few months. And this is talking specifically about Rowling's involvement with the HBO series. However, the Harry Potter IP has never been stronger, with books, movies, theme park lands and attractions, endless merchandise, the hit video game, and now an upcoming long-form TV series on HBO and the Max streaming service. Rowling is set to be heavily involved in the TV series, which will adapt her original 7 books and flesh them out in a way that was never possible in the Daniel Radcliffe-led films. So, yeah, they're trying to say that J.K. Rowling being involved with this project is going to be detrimental to the project from the audience's perspective. But the fact of the matter is, we just haven't seen that because Harry Potter is still wildly popular, even though it's a 20-year-old franchise. A lot of kids are still reading the books. A lot of people still watch the movies. they still visit the theme park lands. In fact, Universal next year is going to have their expansion to the Wizarding World open up at Universal Orlando in their whole Epic Universe expansion, and that's something that's supposed to be pretty big for them too. And by all accounts, it's looking like this series is going to be big. They just released the game Hogwarts Legacy last year, or I'm sorry, the year before. Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, it was last year, 2023, it says right here. And there was deliberate efforts to try to cancel that game before it was released. And then after it was released, a lot of these activists were threatening streamers to keep them from trying to stream the game. But it didn't seem to work, and the game was wildly popular and a lot of people enjoyed it. So, and it sold a ton of copies. What did it say here? I believe it said, yeah, right here, selling 30 million copies and generating more than $1 billion in revenue. And that was with a deliberate effort to try to cancel the game or make it a flop, according to a lot of these activists. And they just failed miserably, because despite all their screeching online, they might give the appearance that they're actually a sizable portion of the audience. The fact of the matter is, it's just few and far between people who will actually go to the efforts to not watch or consume something of the Harry Potter franchise because J.K. Rowling has involvement with it. And yes, Hogwarts Legacy did have her involvement with it to a point. Not as much as the show, but still, I think the fact remains that the Harry Potter series will actually be successful, and there's really nothing that they can do about it, because people like the Harry Potter franchise, and for the most part, people agree with J.K. Rowling on her issue. And I think that's what really gets to these people the most, is that they're starting to realize that people are rejecting them and rejecting their views. And they don't like that, because for the longest time, people like J.K. Rowling were canceled and were othered as a result of their views. So it kind of gave the impression that they had more power than they actually did, and that they were pretty much spoke more for how the audience felt. But it just turns out that's not the case. So they either have to come up with the realization that people reject their views, or they just kind of have to continue on with the way they are. And I think that's kind of what they're doing right now. But once this show comes out, as long as it's actually good to the source material, I'm thinking that it'll probably be another successful series, and it'll just prove them wrong yet again. But if it doesn't actually succeed, it's not because of their efforts to try to cancel it because of J.K. Rowling's involvement. It'll most likely be because of some other issues entirely. But let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. And also, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date in the latest in entertainment news. And don't forget to click that like button and share this video out there, because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.